What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Now, Bitcoin has already made 2 attempts to get over $30,000. We briefly broke above it, but every single time we attempt it, we keep getting pushed back below. So was this just some kind of excitement over the PayPal news and that was it? Or is there something else brewing? Because we were seeing stocks falling as Bitcoin was pumping. But something finally did happen that we have been talking about for months and months on this channel. It is a very exciting time. I do want to share it with you. We finally have an indicator doing something that we have waited for. Now, at the same time, we also have the Fed coming out saying that they're going to have some regulations coming out with the banks. It's going to get a little bit more strict. So we do have that. But also, we have a multi-billionaire recently coming out regretting the fact that he did not buy Bitcoin when it was cheaper and admitting that it is here to stay and that the interest is only going to get exponentially more crazy. So today is going to be a great video. Regardless of what happens with the price, right? We are being optimistically cautious right now, but I am excited to finally say that we do have that indicator firing now. But super quick, before we start the video, I do just want to remind everyone that we are doing an Engrave giveaway that will be over on Twitter happening in the next few weeks. So if you're not following me, it's at the Crypto Zombie. I'm not going to bring this up again, but if you do want to be eligible and you want to know when we're doing that, then, you know, hop on over to Twitter/X, whatever, and follow the Crypto Zombie. So, all right, let's dive in. Let's see what's going on. So if we have a look right here, you can actually see that Bitcoin got all the way up to $30,281, but every time we try to break above it, we get rejected. And you can see right here, Bitcoin is pushing down as well. So every time we get above that $30,000 level, we pull back below it. So should we be worried? Well, as I've been saying, you know, short term, we were a little bit concerned about the price. I think that the reason that we got this little bit of price action, considering the fact that we had the S&P falling, I think it was due to the PayPal news. It got everybody really excited, but can we stay above this level? Well, it was pretty straightforward. We knew that this was the area. Ultimately, we've been holding this trend, and the trend is your friend until the end. So obviously, until we break this trend, there's no reason to assume that we shouldn't just keep continuing to the upside, right? Having a look right here, though, what are we doing? We are hitting the top of this parallel channel. Now, regardless, even if we still hit this top, it still is a bull flag, right? But the flag is starting to get a little bit long, let's be honest. I mean, how much lower is this flag really going to go? But nevertheless, you could see we are being held down at this level. So the first thing that we really would need to do to solidify this position is to basically actually hold above sort of this $29,300 area, but also breaking out of this trend would be really, really good. And you can see right here, one thing that I really want to emphasize is if we have a look at the market cipher, we are noticing that right here, it looks like the money flow is about to finally flow into the green on the weekly. So this is very, very huge because as we've seen in the past, you know, once we get this money flow up in this green area, right here, for example, look, massive, massive run, right? Where was another spot that we had it? Right here, right? Not as big of a run, right? But this was also that little mid-rally fake out into the eventual COVID dump. So we've always used it as a bit of an outlier. But, you know, you have the green right here, same thing. So ultimately, keeping our eyes on that, this is the big one, guys. This is the big one. This is the big tamale. Now, of course, we can't get too excited because this is on the weekly. It's not the end of the week yet. But if you look right here, no, we did not get our green on the guppy, but we did get the green arrow and we're starting to flip the bands onto the top, right? So remember, when we have the blue on top, this light sort of teal blue, that is very, very bullish. And then obviously when we go into the blue dark bands, that's when we have the reversal. You can see right here where the bands actually flip. They invert, and then that's when you go to the downside. Well, it looks like we are starting to potentially have that inversion. You can see the bands right here. You can see them getting tighter. You can see them flipping over, right? So when we have a look at what has happened in the past, if we come back here, what usually happens? Well, check this out. We zoom in, we zoom in, we zoom in, right? And look, generally speaking, right before we go into the green, we flip into this blue as we have the ribbons starting to twist, right? So this was happening. So we had this, for example, back in May 27th of 2019. Okay, so that was right there. And then what ended up happening? Well, that price was around 8,500 and Bitcoin went all the way up to almost $14,000, right? Before having a retracement. Same thing right here, right? We had this flash, it flashed blue. We had multiple actually flashes right here, but as long as we stayed in the green, we were good. So again, just pointing out, guys, we're not in the green right yet. But what is this showing me? It's showing me that the trend wants to continue. I feel really bad. There's been a lot of bears that have been screaming since the bottom that we're going to go down to 10K. You know what? Maybe they will get their pullback. Maybe we will have that pullback to 24 or 22 or something like that. But come on, guys. A broken clock is right twice a day. And these guys have been screaming for lower levels for 10 straight months. For 10 straight months, they've been screaming for lower levels. And meanwhile, we have been making money over here on the channel because what we're looking at is the fact that there is so much accumulation down here at this volume range right here, this profile, that there's just no way that we're going lower at this. Look at the amount of interest right here. Look at that amount of interest, guys. And you can see right here, if you want to just draw some lines, you know, you have the next level of interest potentially somewhere around, you know, this 23,000 area. And you can see right now, one of the reasons why we're struggling to break above here is because of this area of interest right here. And you can see that that coincides with this big bump. However, once we do get past that, you have a little bit of turmoil around 32. You have a little bit around 33, but really your next big area you're looking for is around 38,000, right? So what you're really looking to do is kind of to get right back up in this zone, right? And you can see right here, all we keep doing is just knocking out these zones, right? Bouncing around this zone, right? And what would be the next thing? Well, the next thing would be bouncing around this zone, right? And then the next thing would be bouncing around this zone. So I'm not saying that we're just going to keep going up in a straight line. Again, we could have a pullback. I'm not against it. But the fact that so many people have been trying to fight this trend when, you know, obviously the signs have been pointing towards a move to the upside. And if you want to still look at this CME futures gap up here at around 35,180, I still consider that to be a plausible target for Bitcoin. And at the same time, we're also seeing, as I've been saying, that we're looking to have a potential golden cross at some point. Now, remember, these are lagging indicators. When you're talking about indicators on the weekly, by the time you get the signal, it's often too late, right? For example, you had this cross right here. Right, this was a bear signal, a death cross, right? But look how far down the price had fallen until we actually got that, right? So they are lagging signals. So what you want to do is anticipate them, right? So we don't have the cross yet, but you could see with your own eyes right here. You know, you could literally show this to a 5-year-old. What is this doing? What is this doing? What is this doing? Right? So at some point, we're going to have that cross, and hopefully we don't have this fall below. I don't think we will. I think the 100 will curve up, and once we get that, then, you know, obviously that would be the cross. But again, you want to anticipate it. You want to anticipate it happening. And guys, look, if you want to learn how to trade, you need to get subscribed to the channel. You need to check out the tutorials popping up here, and you need to go below and, you know, just take advantage of those bonuses. I recommend if you want a centralized exchange, I like BitGet. If you want a decentralized exchange, I like Apex. But yeah, so, you know, just follow the channel, but ultimately look right here. So, and I know a lot of people have a lot to say about Plan B with his stock to flow. I get it, but you can see that one thing that we have noticed is this 5-month realized price, short-term holder price, right? It's now above the 2-year price. So if history is any guide, and you can see right here as he's highlighted with the red circles, in a nutshell, once we have this happen, we generally tend to stay above it for 2 years, okay? And actually, one thing that I did post over on my my Twitter or my X account, whatever you want to call it. Let me actually come down here. Where was it? This right here. So, you know, I said what we can extrapolate from this is that while pullbacks are certainly possible during pre-bull, they rarely give investors a chance at buying the bottom again. This would suggest that bears calling for 15K or lower are most likely in for a rude awakening. Now, I did have a few people comment on this being like, oh yeah, but look, it touched down here. Yeah, but look at this, guys. What is this, a weekly wick? Were you saving all your money for that one? How many people actually bought that wick right there? How many people actually bought that wick? Not that many, right? So we did have multiple touches, but once we got above that previous area right here, you know, the game was on. Same thing over here, right? We never got these levels. We came close. We had the COVID crash, but you never had the opportunity to buy down at those levels again, and we're doing the same thing. So could we have a pullback? Could we retest some of these lower levels? Absolutely, guys. But again, I just think that waiting for these lower prices, you know, I know guys that are crypto influencers right now that have been sitting in cash. Literally, not even barely exposed right now. It's just mind-blowing. You know, this is some of the conversations I have in the background, but just have a look simply here at the net unrealized profit loss, okay? And you could see historically, you know, very simple. You know, we have our nice little rainbow, red, orange, yellow, right? When we're in the red, it's capitulation. And then depending on which way you're going, you get hope, optimism, belief, euphoria, or if we're in a bear, fear, anxiety, denial, right? But you can see right here, we're not even close, guys. We're really basically right in the middle, somewhere between optimism and maybe anxiety, depending, right? We have a lot more way to go before we even get up to the top of this area. And, if you guys are wondering about this and you're like, well, what was the deal with this being the top? Why did this happen? Well, that's actually what I want to talk about. Like I showed you guys yesterday, what Credible was saying was that we've had these lengthening cycles with diminishing returns. So the fact that these were the exact same would actually go against everything that we've had so far. As you could see, the delay, right? This one is only about 300. Then you have this one being 746, this one about 1,050 days. But this one mimicked this one almost exactly to the point, which explains why we did not have our blow off top just yet, right? And this was that new cycle theory, which really isn't a theory. It's a lot of people have been talking about it, but it's just something to keep in mind. All right, so moving forward to the Bitcoin ETF chatter that continues, Novogratz weighing in. He's basically saying that something is coming soon. We should be seeing an approval between 4 to 6 months. Be prepared for a surprise or two across both spot Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum futures, as well as the SEC versus Coinbase situation. So this guy over here is David Rubenstein from the Carlyle Group, and this guy is worth over $3.3 billion. And he was over talking on Bloomberg Radio. And you have to hear what he had to say, saying, basically that he regrets that he didn't buy it, that it's not going anywhere. And he talks about why it is so, basically attractive to so many people worldwide.
This is perfectly timed because Novogratz has been the piñata of Bitcoin when it goes down. It's been the genius of Bitcoin when it goes up. And all of a sudden, Larry showed up at the door to say, hey, big, respectable firms can prosecute and do Bitcoin. Link Lawrence Fink of BlackRock to Mike Novogratz.
Well, what's happened is people, as you suggest, make fun of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but now the establishment, Larry Fink at BlackRock, is now saying they're going to have an ETF, if approved by the government, in Bitcoin. So you're saying, wait a second, if the mighty BlackRock is willing to have an ETF in Bitcoin, maybe Bitcoin's going to be around for a while.
Lisa wants to jump in here, but I'm going to cut to the news moment. Is Carlyle announcing this morning a Bitcoin advocacy?
No, I don't think so. But there's no doubt that Bitcoin is something that I wish I had bought it at $100 a Bitcoin when Mike Novogratz started buying it. It's now at $29,000. So he's made a lot of money. And a lot of people who bought it at the $100 or less are feeling pretty good. Now, it went up as high as 61,000, I think. Even down to 31,000 or even 29,000 now is still pretty good profit if you bought it at 100.
We all wish we would have bought it at 100 and to ride it up. It's one thing for BlackRock to come up with an ETF because they believe in the proposition of Bitcoin. It's another because they see a profitability proposition where they can, basically take advantage of the interests other people have. I mean, isn't that more of what this is? That basically Wall Street is saying, if there is a market for it and we can viably make one for them and make some money, why not?
Well, remember, Wall Street is in business to make money, and this is something they can probably make money of. You have to remember, the United States government has been somewhat skeptical of it. I think Democrats in the Congress, and particularly the people regulating the SEC, are skeptical of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. But outside the United States, there's a lot of interest in it. I think FTX really hurt when it went bankrupt, and it hurt the crypto industry. But a lot of people around the world want to be able to trade in a currency that their government can't know what they have, and they want to be able to move it around, rightly or wrongly. And so I don't think Bitcoin is going away. I think the Republicans on Capitol Hill have been pretty supportive of it.
There's a difference between having a seamless cross-currency payment, basically saying that instead of going to Western Union, I can go and just transfer something in Bitcoin if it has a stable enough price. That's one proposition. But the proposition of Bitcoin as a store of value that could kind of be bid up the way that gold or silver could seems to have been parked with the advent of yield suddenly that you can get for actual money. I mean, isn't that sort of the feeling that you're getting?
Well, there's no doubt that when interest rates are as high as they are, you don't need to have gold or other kinds of things to get you some solid return, because when you get 5% on treasuries, but eventually 5% will be coming down at some point. I don't think Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies that are the better ones, the better known ones, Bitcoin and so a number of others, are going to go away. There's enormous interest around the world in being able to have something something you can transfer without the government knowing about it and keep it private. And, you know, you can say people shouldn't do that, but that's not going to stop people from doing it.
They also did ask him about Gary Gensler, so I kind of just wanted to throw that in there.
Mr. Novogratz on Mr. Gensler. What did he say about the efforts of our chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission?
Well, Gary Gensler, who's the chairman of the SEC, is not a big fan of cryptocurrency. I think that's fair to say. But he lost a major case recently in court where he was trying to argue that one of the cryptocurrencies, Ripple, was a security, and he lost that case. So I think the SEC has not been able to convince at least the government yet, or at least the courts, that cryptocurrency is such a dangerous thing. And I remember a lot of people in the government now are thinking that Gary Gensler won't be the chairman of the SEC forever.
That's where I wanted to go. I mean, these guys just wait him out, right?
I think that's a strategy that's very popular in Washington, waiting out regulators you don't like.
But that is kind of sad, though, when you think about it. Just kind of wait it out, let the guy just sort of retire. I mean, yeah, great, but in the meanwhile, we're all sitting here, you know, not exactly being protected by the SEC because Gary's working for the banks, right? He's working for the Fed. Well, speaking of the Fed, the U.S. Fed is starting a new program for overseeing banks' crypto activity, and it further clarified its requirements that the lenders under its authority get approval before engaging in digital asset activities. An institution that's issuing, holding, or transacting in dollar tokens to facilitate payments needs to prove to the supervisors beforehand that it can do so in a safe and sound manner, and it needs the Fed to formally sign off. The central bank's announcement were meant to reinforce the crypto guidance it issued in January, coming after the PayPal news. So, you know, some people are saying, well, this is bad. You know, it's obviously totalitarian oversight. I mean, look, guys, at the end of the day, you know, no one is telling you what you have to do. You can self-custody your Bitcoin. You can send your Bitcoin to anyone across the world and do anything that you want. But if you want to transact with a U.S. bank involving digital currencies, then they're going to get involved. And you know that that's just what's going to happen. In fact, you know, this isn't just the government. If you have a look at Morning Consult, they had a poll over here, and you could see that shares of respondents who said cryptocurrency should be more or less or similarly regulated relative to financial assets such as securities and investment funds. You could see that more people said similarly or more. Okay, so the way that most people are looking at it is that they don't feel comfortable unless the regulation is clear. And we've even seen more. For example, Bitstamp just delisted a bunch of tokens like Polygon that, you know, the SEC had considered securities. So it's going to be an ongoing battle again. But like Charlie Shrem said, he's an OG, and I'm just going to leave on this. PayPal launching a stablecoin will skyrocket Bitcoin to at least $250,000 faster than it was supposed to, and ETH likely will 10x on a faster timetable. Very exciting times. So again, while everyone's sitting on their hands, ignoring it, not paying attention, there's so much going on in the background. BlackRock knows what's going on. These big guys know what's going on. So yeah, I mean, basically that is what is happening in the crazy world of crypto, and for those people who are not paying attention, I certainly feel quite bad for them right now. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. Exciting times. We can't really get too crazy bullish until we do hold above that $30,000-ish level, right? Have a nice little retest. If we fall below it, it's fine. We're still in an uptrend. We were expecting a potential retest anyway, but nevertheless, guys, we did get that EMA starting to flip over on the guppy, right? And we do have these big players realizing that they missed out. So lots of big things. I feel bad for anyone who's sleeping right now on crypto, who's not paying attention, because you know what's going to happen. It's going to be back up around 45,000, 50,000. Everybody's going to call you up asking you if you should buy. And well, you know the drill. So thanks so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. If you do want to learn how to trade, make sure you check out these tutorials that are popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. Have a great day. And of course, peace out.